Creating accessible content is an important step in making your course available to all students. Here's a few examples of how that works in Ultra. In the content editor, you can make sure your text is accessible by using appropriate headings and nesting them appropriately. Heading 1, Heading 2, Heading 3. Remember, don't skip heading levels. A tool that you'll see throughout Ultra is this Accessibility Score tool. As you're creating content, here you'll see a score, and it may give you options to improve the accessibility of your content. If I click into that, it says that my content is 99% accessible, but that this item contains headings that don't follow a logical order. That's because I've skipped a heading level. So it gives me the option to change that right here in this tool. If I change this to header, which is the second level, then it gives me a perfect score. It's also important to make sure your text has sufficient contrast so your students can see what you've written. In Ultra, you'll notice you have fewer color customization options, and that's because all of these colors will have sufficient contrast on a white background. Another note about color is that you should avoid using only color to communicate important information. You could include a label like important before the text, or bold or italicize the text to make sure that students who are colorblind can fully understand when you're trying to communicate important information. Making your fonts accessible is easy to do in Ultra as well. Sans serif fonts are typically the most accessible, and you have several options to choose from. There are serif fonts as well if you need those. Next, let's talk about tables. Tables are for presenting data. Once you've input the contents of the table, you can select the header row and the header column if that's needed to properly communicate what the data is to a student using the screen reader. Tables shouldn't be used for formatting purposes. If you're just using them to get the content to look a certain way, that's not fully accessible, and it's recommended to find another option for formatting. Just like when you use Word or Google Docs, you should use the list options that are included within the tool. Lists can be ordered or unordered. Ordered lists follow a specific order, like Step 1, Step 2, Step 3. Unordered lists don't have to follow a particular order, like a list of ingredients. Always use the bulleted or numbered lists within the editing tool to create lists, rather than using special characters to make your own. To create accessible links, make sure the link text is descriptive and meaningful. So, for instance, you would direct someone to WebAIM's hypertext information, rather than just saying, click here, or using the entire link text. When you attach files in Ultra, make sure that the file you're attaching is accessible. You can view one of our other videos on creating accessible documents to make sure that you're taking that step first. It's good practice to make the display name something readable and meaningful, and to include the document format as well. To add accessible images, you'll want to make sure that you're, again, making the display name something meaningful and including alternative text. It gives you an option to do that right here as you're uploading the image. You typically want that to be a short, concise, and descriptive phrase. When you're adding videos, you might be adding videos from YouTube or Kaltura. Both of these already have options included for captions automatically. You can double-check that by playing back the video. You should see a little CC button at the bottom to stand for closed captions. Hopefully the documents that you're uploading are already accessible, but if you're not sure, you can take a look at Ally, the accessibility tool within Blackboard. It'll give you a score on the things that you're uploading. It will always give you improvements if it can identify those. This document didn't have a language set, so I could modify that back in Word and re-upload the document. The accessibility score for this image is 100% because the image has an image description, that alternative text that we added earlier. If you've attached a file like a Word document, from the student's view, they will be able to see that there are alternative formats to download. Ally automatically creates those. So it's worth taking a look to see if some of these options might be good for your students to know about as well. These are a few simple ways to make your course in Ultra more accessible. We hope this has been a helpful introduction to some of Blackboard Ultra's tools. If you're an instructor who needs support in Ultra, contact UAA's instructional design team at uaa_design@alaska.edu. If you're a student who needs support in Ultra, contact the UAA Technical Support Center by calling 907-786-4646 or emailing uaa.techsupport@alaska.edu.